Hi bag builders, it's Diane from Spencer Ogg Sewing Patterns and thanks for joining me. Today I am giving you a little tour around my sewing room. It's been much requested and I've never got round to it until now. In fact, I've tidied up specially for you. You may not believe it, but I have. I will apologise because I am not a minimalist. I'm definitely a maximalist. Loads and loads of junk and I enjoy it. I'm a hoarder. I hoard all my fabrics, I hoard machines. And I really enjoy it. So it's not the tidiest, but it's where I work from and I love it. So I built this in 2017. This is in the attics of our house. Originally there was nothing really here, just a trapdoor coming up into the eaves of the house, and we didn't think there was going to be this much space, but actually there's a lot more than we thought. The workmen were here for a few weeks. It was a busy time, however it was well worth it. You can see from the before and after photographs here that there's more space than we thought. Once they removed all the joists and got into the eaves, then it really does make a nice light space. So lots of windows up here now, and I've had everything painted white, as you can see, to bounce the light around. So I'll give you a little pan around the studio so you can see the whole area, and then I'll show you each individual area and what its function is. So, as if by magic, I've now disappeared. That's one end of the studio, and the house is actually quite long and thin, and ergo, so is the studio. So there is lots more room than you see on my videos and everything. So plenty of space up here. This is the entrance up the stairs from the main house. Just some paintings there from my father. And this is the end that really sees the work, my computers and printers and the daily grind. Pressing station, you see my machines around, cutting station in the middle. Lots of worktop space along here. It does help if you're very short like me, because obviously because it's in the attic, it is very narrow at the sides, or very short at the sides, but I can scuttle along quite happily. If you were 7 foot, it might be slightly different. So just to give you a brief look. And that in front of you is where you see me most of the time. That's my Wonderwall. You see that chair a lot on social media as well. Everybody loves that chair. The Wonderwall I actually had built because I thought it'd be a fantastic place for photography and to film against, which it is, but it casts a lot of shadows because the boxes are actually quite deep. That box in the middle I had built especially for photography, because I thought that'd be a great place as a light box. Again, it casts a lot of shadows, but overall it makes a nice little area. So you'll often find me sitting here, not as often as I would like, obviously. I tend to be at the computer most of the time, and not at my sewing machine enough. However, this is a great space for me to film against, and I use it to display really a lot of my featured fabrics. All my linings are down here. I have a fire. Often at night, if the boys are out, I will sneak up here, and if I'm not sewing, I might put my tablet on there, turn the chair around and watch a bit of TV just on the sly. So yeah, featured fabrics, bags, really things I'm working on, lots of jars of haberdashery and old cotton reels. It displays my bags really well, and it's a good handy place for everything. So just to show you what I have on my shelves, obviously lots of different projects going on. I was going to make a mat out of that, a ragged rug. It's been there for the last year waiting for me to do it. Lots of current patterns, lots of lovely fabrics there waiting for something to happen with them. And cotton reels. The head there is Zelda. My husband makes caps and he often uses that for modelling purposes. More patterns. Down there I keep all my oversized boards and cutting implements. Moving around a little bit. There we have, oh well, I actually made that when I was a teenager for my parents. It was where they lived. So I keep that as a little memento. Lots of jars for storage. There's some photography stuff. Down here, a bit messy down this end, I have old belts and accessories that I've harvested from various bags and sample straps. They come in handy for a numerous amount of projects. Here, that is all my zips, so it may look messy to you, it probably is messy, but to me they are in order. So loads of different zips in here, so that might be continuous zips, and I've got one for light zips, darker zips, mid-coloured zips. It makes sense to my mind. Velcro, rope, buttons down there, more continuous zips, spiles, and all the paraphernalia of daily use. Move it along. I can't help myself really, I always have to do something daft with my embroidery machine. Needles, labels. I use Wonder Label for my, I get asked a lot, for my sewing labels. They're just woven ones. Lots of spare feet there. Here's my machine. That is a Janome Atelier 7. It's a fabulous machine. Couldn't live without her. And we have my notions and tools. Obviously I get through a lot of pins, different sizes, different colours, an awful lot of different tools in there. Spools, pins. Oh, golf tees. I use a lot of golf tees. I keep all my bobbins together with my threads using golf tees. They're very handy and you don't have to pay over the odds for them. So that's my sewing station really. Right next to it I keep all my interfacings, or some of my interfacing shall we say, the smaller pieces, and there's foam underneath there. You'll see I do have a lot of fabric storage, so all the way along there is fabric storage. Yeah, what I didn't say is I'm quite a lazy sewer, so I try and buy the same thread. I use Gutterman Sew-All for just about everything. It's 100% polyester thread. That is just a small selection. I buy all the same thread, so I never have to change. If I'm changing colour on the top, I don't have to change the colour on the bottom because it's the same thread. That is just a small selection. I have yards of it over the other side. Those are the ones I use most often. In fact, I'll flick you over to the other side. So around the other side of the room, I keep the rest of my threads in here, so all my threads and my branding is in there, all hidden away because they're all messy, under a tablecloth that my grandma embroidered. You'll see I've got cupboards all the way along the eaves as well, which are very, very useful. So you see in there, for example, that's all my interfacings in there, but the cupboards go all the way along, so you can actually get in and scuttle your way along if you so want to, but very useful. So I've got all my interfacings in there and waddings and everything, and then I've got machines and lighting in that one and more fabrics down there. So yes, very, very useful space. Here, this is where I store some of my hardware. So I used to store everything at a storage unit and go every morning and ship them from there, but you know, it's not always that great when you only got one order or the storage unit's closed for 2 days. So I have a small selection here now, so I just go and top up once a week or something, and then I can ship all the orders from here, which is much easier. So that's all my hardware. Obviously bag samples everywhere, and then I'll swing you back around again to my workstation over this side and we'll carry on along there. So moving along, tape measures, double-sided tape, Wonder tape. Here I've got all my cutting implements, rotary cutters and scissors, pinking shears. This is my packing station, so when I get your orders in the morning, that's the first thing I do in the morning is I pack everything up on there. So I've got all my packaging materials underneath the desk. Weigh it, pack it, and get it shipped off same day normally. This is the area I work from all day long normally, which is my computer area. And yes, 90% of my time is actually sat at that point. Moving along, obviously just my printer. That's my handbag, but it is one of mine. That's just the Atelier bag, but without a flap on it, but it's had a lot of use, that one. And then my rivet station here. So you can see I've got a Rivet Press, I've got cam snaps, all the different sizes of rivets and snaps and eyelets and all the various notions to cut out holes and position things. Moving along, again more cupboard space here. Again, that goes all the way along. Not quite as handy on this side of the room because I've only got a door at this end and one at the other end. So if you want something from in the middle, you don't want to be following me into that cupboard. But me and the dog go in there sometimes just to hunt things down. I can get in there. So all my paper patterns are here. Obviously I've got to stock those somewhere and keep them in place. A mannequin just for trying bags on, photographing. That's a white wall that I do use quite frequently. It's got a board stood up against it at the moment that with all my hardware on that I take to any shows or exhibitions, but normally I'll move that if I want a plain white wall and then I can photograph against there. Moving around to the left, this is my ironing station. Obviously not terribly exciting, it's just a big Brabantia ironing board, and I do have a steam generator iron, which is a Morphy Richards one. I'll try and put some of the links below. Obviously they're not my products, but I'll put them on if you're interested in knowing what they are. Excuse me. A steam generator is a great iron, much better than a regular one. I don't feel the need for a great press at the moment, but maybe one day. Under here is lots of stock of my handles, again, just because I'm trying to have some stock here rather than going to the unit every day. So that'll do me for a week or so, and then I'll just go and top up again. Moving on this side, we've got my embroidery machine. So that's a Brother Innovis 750, which I don't use as much as I should. I love it, but I tend to use it for logos on things, and I don't use it a lot for big embellishments, but I should do really. I used to do a lot more than I do now. And all the threads are under here for it, so lots of different colour embroidery threads. That's where I'll keep all the stabilisers for the embroidery machine. There's a spare sewing machine, that was my last one, another Janome, which was a good machine as well. Cutting table here, which I should use every single day, but what I tend to do is start on there and then end up on the floor. So I'll use it for 5 minutes, it'll get full, and then I work all day on the floor, which is my normal habitat. And then I keep drawers in here. Again, everything is the Kallax unit from IKEA. In here I just keep, well, these are actually samples of various straps and things I'm working on at the moment. So that's a wider crossbody strap than I've done before, and it's just getting all the, the components right, making sure everything works fine before I go ahead with production. We've got templates, cutting templates for my various patterns in there, glues and adhesives. Round the back is hiding. You can have a quick peek, but that's the messy bit round there where I hide everything from you. So that box is full of items that are half made or that are patterns on the way that you haven't seen yet, and yeah, other things to disguise, like bits of fabric that I just use for muslins, trying things out. And that clock my husband bought me last year, which is really cute. And then just to show you the last couple of bits is really where I keep my fabric. Just a whole run along here right to the end, along with what's in the cupboards, but these are the ones I'm tending to use most of the time. So I have my interfacings there, foam underneath, along with rolls in the cupboard. That's just junk fabric for me to mess about with. We've got some tweeds. These are fabrics I've just bought for new projects, so that you'll see coming up in a new pattern. A nice printed cork. Denims, I keep every bit of denim in the house, so if the boys are throwing away a pair of jeans or a denim shirt, that goes in there. Never let a piece of denim out of your sight. Next I have ripstops, oilskins and wax cottons in there. Those are just lining fabrics. Here we've got tweeds, herringbones. There's a fair bit of Harry's tweed lurking around in there as well. Next, velvets and vinyls here, vinyls there. I know they're folded, I should be rolling them, but bags are small. I tend to cut round the folds. It's much easier for storing in general. That's just packaging. There is some commercial patterns in there. Obviously I don't tend to buy commercial patterns, but when you buy a magazine and you get a free pattern on the front, I tend to keep them because I use the tissue paper for packaging. And that's it really. More fabrics along there and leathers on the end. But that really in essence is my sewing room. So I hope you enjoyed my sewing room studio tour and you saw everything you wanted to see. If you like the video, please do subscribe to my channel. And you know I have a Facebook board for help and support with my patterns and you're welcome to join. I'll put the link below. And thanks for joining me today.